Hello and welcome back. Just a brief introduction to these rules. These are the large battles written by tabletop gamer Robert Lloyd. He's put the rules for general use and asking people to play a test, so that's what I'm doing. The area you see in the picture is actually bounded by, well, 3 pieces of timber, for want of a better thing. It's a 2-foot square. Robert's actually designed this game for 2mm, and he uses a 1-foot square table, yeah, believe it or not, and you can fight actions like Gettysburg on a 1-foot square board, which is incredible. The base sizes for instance, for his infantry are 20mm by 10. Well, my base is for 6mm infantry, a 60mm by 30, so already I'm 3 times the size of that. But I wanted to keep the board tight to 2 foot to try and emulate what he's trying to achieve. Also, each unit is called an element, so you've got 6 infantry elements, 1 cavalry, 1 artillery and 1 general on each side, and each one of these is an element. It doesn't represent a particular number of men, it's just at the battle at the time it could represent 1,000 men, it could represent 6, 7, 8,000 men. It's just an element. Both sides of the sim, I've gone for the small sized army, so I've got 9 elements, and I've chosen to do a meeting campaign, if you like, a meeting battle, both coming onto the table from opposite ends, and then they're able to deploy and then start to shoot. Movement is also doubled because this is a 2-foot board, and also firing ranges, I've doubled them as well. So the ranges you see me using are speaking about a double which would be used in the 2mm game. I've played the first 2 or 3 turns. Robert was keen that a lot of there was movement before. They just didn't get into a slugfest. There was actually room for units to manoeuvre and to come onto the table and actually get into positions and not just straight into action. Also, when the units are in column, you'll see my infantry advancing sideways, crab-like, but that's just to keep it in keeping with how it looks on the 2mm board. Okay, we'll get on with it now. The first thing that has to be done is an initiative roll. The red die is the Confederate, the blue die is the Union. So the Confederate have won the initiative for this first turn. You do throw each turn. The first rebel unit on the board is a cavalry regiment, which is out ahead of the main army scouting. They'll move along this road, and they can travel as far as just up to the crossroads there. Union cavalry, also ahead of their main force, are also scouting, and they're moving down this road towards the town and reach that point. There was no firing or anything, so that ended turn 1. So I rolled again for initiative for turn 2. Once again, the Confederates won the initiative, so they'll move some of their units on the board first. These are the ones that I pre-roll for, if you watched the last video. Right, the rebel cavalry moves first. It's going to ride through the town and onto that road facing the Union cavalry, which it does there. And now it's time for the first set of turn 2 reinforcements, which are the Confederates, and they get 3 elements of infantry, and I shall put them sideways on so that they're marching in column along the road when they're marched into the town. Once that's done, there's no general there at the moment. Once that's done, the Union turn 2 reinforcements arrive. They've got 2 infantry elements, and they march in column along the top road there. This cavalry unit, what you see at the bottom, has altered course and has started to climb up that ridge. So once again, there's no battle, so we throw for initiative, and once again the Confederates win. Turn 3 reinforcements come on now. 2 infantry elements and a general element. They're going to come onto the board along a different road. In this game, a general can only control so many units. He has to roll a command dice, which the Confederates done here is roll 4, which means he can use 4 units, but as his army in general is experienced, he gets a bonus of 1, so he can actually move 5 units on this turn. Sorry, 5 elements, let's get the name right. He decides to move these 2 units, which are in rough ground, so they'll only be able to travel 8 centimetres. They'll move to there, or somewhere roughly there. So that's where they are, coming up to that ridge. In the town itself, this cavalry unit is sent off to climb the other ridge, which is near to the Union position there. So they'll be galloping off into that direction. You can see the Union column coming down the road. So they take up their position on that ridge. Now the Confederate commander still can move 2 more units, so he moves this one. And he places it there, so it's going to be in front of the town and blocking the road and deployed as such. You can see again now it's blocking the road into the town, and the Union reinforcements arrive on the table, and they're coming from that corner. This is their turn, and their commander throws a 3 on his dice roll, so he can move 3 plus 1. He'll be able to move 4 units. Sorry, 4 elements. So these 2 are going to form in line across the road, like so. And then he can also deploy his artillery, and he wants them on higher ground if possible, or certainly somewhere where he can see the enemy. So they're going to move over to the side. Again, they've got penalties on movement because they're on rough ground there, and the general can obviously move himself as well if he wishes. That doesn't cost anything. His final movement, this 4th movement, is to move another unit. He moves that there. So this is how the table looks at the end of turn 2, with quite a few of the elements now on. As you can see, there has been quite a bit of manoeuvring, and still will be before they get in range to actually engage in combat. So far, so good. Yet again, the Confederates win the initiative roll, and the commander throws a 5 plus a 1 for the regular experienced troops at 6, so he can move 6 elements this time. So I'll be quiet and let you see what happens. Oh, of course the reinforcements come on as well. That's the first thing that happens, the reinforcements come on. So they're coming in along that road. The original reinforcements what came in on turn 2 is now going to deploy them. I said I'd shut up, didn't I? I'll shut up. Right, well, I hope you was able to follow all that without me speaking. As you can see from the table now at the end of turn 3, all the elements are now deployed. Still nobody's in range yet, but we're getting to that point, so probably in the next turn or the turn after there will be some action. After watching this and making this video, I suddenly realised I could have actually thrown a die and made to see which roads they actually came down, especially the Union. That would have made a difference. I mean, for instance, the road what forks off up towards the left there could have been an odd die roll, and the road that they're actually on an even die roll. So when the reinforcements came on, depending if they threw odd or even, would have decided which road they came down. But maybe that's something for the next time. It's something that struck me just now while I was doing this. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. Stick with me and come back to see how the next part works out. Thanks for watching.